right, guys, here we go for the Jake Shields podcast. We are excited to be back, and back we are now. The Jake, as well as our next guest, both have something in common. They both beat Dillon Danis' ass in his sport. Jake, we have Chance, the bouncer who ended up taking Danis out here with us.
Let's go, Chance the bouncer.
Chance the bouncer, yeah. What's going on, Chance? How are you, man?
All good, man. All good.
Yeah, I think it's as you're finding out. I don't know if you probably know who Dillon was, but he's kind of the most hated clown of MMA and BJJ. So it's great when you get to come in and beat up the most unlike guy, and no one even knows you, but they just love you right away. So you walked in a great position. So how does it feel, first off?
Dude, it's been absolutely wild. I think like the first the 48 hours after the video came out, and after people figured out who I was.
Yeah.
I got like 4,000 new followers on Instagram.
Oh Jesus.
And 500-600 messages, and I've tried answering like every single one of the messages.
I'm sure 90% of the messages are probably positive, right? Being like,
dude, 90,
glad you beat up Dillon.
90, I would say like 94% is positive. 3% people want to give me stuff or like podcasts or whatever, and then there's dude, maybe like 5 people have been like negative. They're like, "You're a bitch, dude. You choked him out." And I'm like, "Okay, sorry, dude."
Yeah, I bet half the negative is trolling too. Is the funny part. Like half the negative are like accounts that like don't like Dillon, that pretend like they're his fans, because he's probably got fans. He's just kind of the famous for being the clown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
the best part is he's a jiu-jitsu black belt, and you choked him out. Do you have any jiu-jitsu training, or is that just he was just that bad for supposedly being a jiu-jitsu legend?
I have 2 sessions under my belt with, at Tom the Blast at his gym. So
2
far.
sessions.
That's 2 sessions so far.
This is a great ad for Tom DeBlas. In 2 sessions, he can have you choking out. I'm a friend of Tom, so good job, Tom. You have your guy choking like Dillon in 2 sessions. And so, why don't you break it down and tell us like what happened, what came up, and how it led to the altercation?
Oh man, so he came without an ID to the bar. And, it was like at 12 o'clock at night. And, whenever you go to a bar club by 12 o'clock, they're checking everybody that's walking through. Mm-hmm. And he came with 3 people. And, I'm asking them IDs just like anybody else. And they, they give me their IDs and everything. And I'm like, all right, cool, guys, stamping their hands and stuff. And he doesn't have his ID. So I'm like, sorry, bro, you're not getting in without an ID. And he starts kind of getting a little agitated by the fact that I don't know who he is. Because he's like, do you not know who I am? And his buddies are like backing him up and everything. And I'm like, sorry, bro, like I got nothing for you, dude. I have no idea who you are. And then
the story is getting great.
And then he Googles himself. And he shows me.
Oh my god! So in person, he's really as big as douchebag as he is online. This is great.
Oh man, he Googles himself, and the Google page is literally just like a picture of him, and then it just says age 28. And I'm like, that's not an ID, man. Like, I need driver's license, passport, just something with your name on it, and a picture and a date. That's all I need.
Yeah.
And, he didn't have something on him. I guess, I don't know. I guess he wasn't carrying a wallet or whatever. And then one of the other bouncers, Jake at the time, comes up and he's like, dude, you're not getting in. He's like listening on the whole thing. He's like, you're not getting in, bro. Like, you don't have an ID. You can go try another bar down the street. Like, you're just not getting in, man. And so that's when Dillon Danis starts like kind of being even more agitated and stuff, starts talking a lot of smack to both of us. And while he's talking to him, we at the bar, we call it the beachcomber takedown. It's when one bouncer's talking to the guy, whoever it is, and then the other bouncers, while he's distracted, walks around them. And I walk around them while they're talking and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm just waiting until something happens, if something happens. And then they all start kind of like pushing and shoving and stuff. And 2 of the bartenders that were bouncers years ago, but mainly bartend now, they jump over to help us. So they're all like pushing and shoving and stuff. And then I see Dillon Danis go for like a right jab. So that's when I grab him by his neck, drop him to the ground, and I put him in like a rear naked choke.
Yeah.
And whenever I do that to people, because I have done it in the past, whenever I do that, I'm like legitimately choking you out.
Yeah.
For like a second or two until you understand
the situation. Like to half pass out until they stop fighting. Because
like until you understand the situation that you're in, that you're not going to get out of it. That's when I start letting up. And in the video, he taps on my arm, And I was like, you all right, bud? And he's like, yeah, man. And like gives me like a little thumbs up. So that's when I kind of like let up and bear hugged him. And I just told him, I'm like, dude, we're just gonna hang out here till the police get here, bro. And the police are dealing with like the 3 other guys that were fighting around and everything to get over to Dillon Danis and help him out and stuff. But the other bouncers, the police officers and stuff, they're all helping them until they came over to me. Then I just kind of flipped them over and helped the police handcuff them, basically. And then they just took them away.
So basically, it sounds like he was an easy fight. Yeah, poor letting you walk behind him in a street fight. That's poor professional fighter. You should be like aware of your surroundings.
Yeah, how do you give up your back that easy?
Well, you never let anyone get behind you. That's what you should know. That's what you want to do. Always get behind someone and make it easy where you don't have to hurt them. Like you did the right thing.
Well, and honestly, I understand that he's a professional fighter and everything, and he was drunk and stuff like that, and he is distracted. Yeah. But in my opinion, the worst part of it was when I went to go, put him in the chokehold. Yeah. What's the first thing that a trained fighter should do? Like put the neck down.
Yeah, neck down, grab the hands. I try to throw you over the top, not let you pull him back, because you probably want to pull him back. That's how you stop a guy from resisting.
He looked up.
Oh my god.
So like maybe
we're gonna have to demote him to like white belt.
Maybe it was just the sheer shock that somebody did it to him or something. I don't know, but like when I grabbed him, I see look up and I'm like, oh man, that's
that was a mistake. So you just slipped.
Like, you had no idea you're going against a trained fighter. Like this guy's just easy.
Dude, no idea who he was. No idea.
Yeah, he hasn't fought in a few years, and I feel like his skill is just falling apart. He was never world class, but as far as grappling, he actually was good at one point. But it's just he should have not put it. He should have been able to defend a choke.
Man.
I'm not gonna be easy to choke on the street. Another thing that's interesting, his friends didn't even help him. They kind of just backed up. So some loyal friends you got, Dillon.
Yeah, well, so his friends did try to help out a little bit, but the problem was we had 4-on-4 at that point, and the cops were coming. So, and all the guys that were in it, all of them are like my size. They're all like 6 foot, 270, 250. They're all like bigger dudes.
Yeah.
So he came in with like 21, 22-year-old kids. So they're all not like big stocky guys. They're all just, normal dudes.
I wonder if it was fighters he was with or non-fighters. If it was fighters, they should be able to take out bouncers. If it's non-fighters, then I give you guys the size benefit.
I don't really know, but I mean, I'm assuming, they had at least some sort of like background in it. Yeah. I saw one of them had like cauliflower ear and everything.
Okay, so someone must have been training for sure, at least training enough, right?
My favorite part of the story so far is when they pulled up his Wikipedia page and it was like nothing. It was like Dillon Danis, 28.
Dillon Danis.
Who does that? You don't know who I am? I'm Dillon Danis.
Yeah, he Googled himself for ID. That's insane. Have you ever had anybody try to do that before?
No, never.
That's
definitely what you would expect from Dillon.
No, I mean, from what I heard, it sounds like that's like right on par with him.
Yeah, definitely is.
Well, dude, before all this, I had literally no idea about any of them. And then, after I heard about it, after I heard who he was and everything, I looked him up, and I'm like, oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, he's best known for being Conor McGregor's jiu-jitsu coach. I mean, Conor. Yeah. I don't think Conor even hired him. Someone told me he flew himself to Ireland and was like, "Hey, let me train you." And that's probably the truth, because I think he's got rich parents.
That's
training him.
That's not a terrible hire strategy though. Just be like, "Hey, man, I'm just walking to the door. Like, all right, dude, let's go. I'm your new jiu-jitsu."
Oh, I happen to be in Ireland. Can I train you?
That's so funny, man. So. He obviously had the fight with Conor McGregor and Khabib. Khabib hops out of the cage and tries to take out Dillon Danis. Now, I got to say, Chance, I think you did better than Khabib at getting that. Not only that, I think this is a shot at Khabib, too. You really manhandled him. I can't get over that. It's hilarious. So,
to be fair, Khabib got broken up.
I was about to say Khabib.
He would have killed him. Yeah.
Khabib went 3 to 4 rounds. I haven't seen the fight in a while, but Khabib went 3 or 4 rounds with Conor McGregor. Jumps
and
over,
then jumped out.
So that was who Khabib was going after. That makes it even greater, right? That was the guy. So I'm gonna fuck this guy up. So.
Oh man, but yeah.
So if Conor McGregor contacts you to be his BJJ coach, would you take the job?
Yeah, dude. I'll beat Dillon Danis' price too. I'll undercut the shit out of him.
Smart man.
He's even got Dillon's price beat, Conor. You got to take him up on it, buddy.
Conor, if you see this, reach him at. How do we reach you, Chance? What's your Instagram?
It's Chance_3141.
So Conor,
there you go, Chance the bouncer.
Contact. Hopefully, we get you a job since Dillon's retired.
Yeah, so Dillon tweets out a phone number the other day, then deletes it, and everybody noticed that. So that was actually the bar's phone number. What kind of calls were you getting from the Danis followers? I heard they were trying to get you in shit.
Oh, dude. So yeah, Dillon Danis posted the phone number of the bar on his Twitter. And I wasn't working there that day. That I worked there that night, and they just told me they just disconnected the phone. And it's kind of funny because we're a seasonal bar. After that, it's more of like a local hangout. Nobody really calls us in the off season, so we just kind of don't answer it. So we just disconnected the phone. It was like, all right, it's done, no problem.
What's your boss's response? Is he mad at you at all, or is he kind of just like, oh, whatever?
No, I mean, yeah, he wasn't like mad or anything like that. I just think he didn't expect to get like the bar's name out there so quickly. So yeah, I mean, he didn't really care. Like I've done that literally dozens of times before. So
what is the bar's name? You should be plugging it right now. I'm sure there's some people out there that want to grab a drink after hearing all this.
Oh man, it's Beachcomber Bar and Grill in Seaside Heights.
Yeah, but the way you actually explain things, it sounds like you did a perfect job of handling it. That's when I was, younger. I was a lot of street altercations area I was at, and that's what I would do. I would just kind of creep behind the guy, put him in a rear naked choke. That way you could stop him without actually hurting him. Because if you get in a fight, you're gonna have to pound the guy's head in. They're gonna get cut up. If you put him in rear naked choke, most people will stop once you like half choke them out. They'll get a little scared. They're like, all right, you're right. Yeah. I'll do exactly what you do. I creep around to the side, come in, grab him, end it, be like, all right, calm down. They're able to walk them off with no one actually getting hurt. So it sounds like you did an excellent job.
Well, so usually in a situation like that, we would have just body wall everything and push everybody down the ramp and let the police handle it. But once he hit the punch and everything, I dropped him to the ground. And in hindsight, looking back, that was perfect because I saw that he had the messed up leg. And I know if we pushed him down that ramp and he's already drunk and everything, so we would have hurt his leg real bad.
Yeah, he's the kind of guy that would sue you. He's that type of guy.
Dude, I got $30 in my pocket.
Chad. Help! We need to start a GoFundMe for Chance the Bouncer. Fucking, he did us a service. That's so good, man. That's so good. So Jake had tweeted out that you were going to be coming on, Chance, and asked if anybody had any questions for you. So I do want to start here. Kareem Patrick on Twitter at United_KB8. He says, did Dillon Danis cry out for Connor when he was being choked out?
I don't know. It was kind of hard to hear him with I didn't really hear much.
That's a yes. I'm not sure. He doesn't want to rat him out because he feels bad. Yes, he did.
Here we go. One of the other questions here from Omar is, could you have not held the choke longer?
I could have, but he tapped. It's okay.
Yeah, if you would have known who he was, probably held a little extra longer, but he tapped. He did the right thing.
Oh, yeah. Nah.
Another comment is, does this count as a loss on Dillon's official grappling record? Hopefully not for him, as he's already 9-15. I think he's 9-16 now. I think that's a good question as well. Sergio asked, were you aware of who he was prior to the event? And if not, would you have handled or approached the situation any differently had you known?
No, I had no idea who he was. But if I at least knew of him, then yeah, probably I would have let him in, like, no problem. Because if a bouncer knows who you are, because it happens all the time. Like sometimes some of our friends or people that we know personally will come in and we're like, oh shit, dude, I don't have my ID. I left my wallet at home or whatever, and they'll be like, oh, I know Jake though. So I'll radio Jake and have him come down and be like, yes, I know that person. So, the blame isn't on like the door guy in the event they're not 21 or whatever.
Correct. So
yeah, usually bouncers, we'll let our friends up if they forgot their ID, they don't have it, or maybe it's expired by a couple of months or whatever. We'll usually handle it as we know them. But the issue was that night was literally the bouncers and all the people involved. We had no idea who he was. Like all four of the guys that were involved in it, not a clue in the world who this guy was.
Yeah, he's basically famous as the guy we all laugh about in the MMA community, which it's like he brings it upon himself. Like he wants to be famous for laughing stock. It's a weird thing, but he's a douchebag on purpose all the time. So I don't know. I guess he wants to be famous so bad he's willing to kind of be the guy that everyone like makes fun of and laughs at. It's kind of a weird thing to want. It's a weird thing to want fame that bad, but that's Dillon Danis for you.
I mean,
yeah.
I think most of us would take no fame, obviously, but he's willing to do whatever it takes to be famous. He's the guy with Jake Paul hitting him with water balloons. I punked him a few times at we'll beat him in a match. And I ran into him in New York at a club one night, and he sees me, and instead of doing anything, he literally runs out the back door and starts texting his friend hey, get out, Jake's there. I'm just I wasn't even planning on beating him up. I'm not trying to get arrested. I'm just this clown's the same color. I didn't do anything, and he's just running out the back door.
Oh, dude, I would have bought him. I would have bought him the best drink, like a sex on the beach or something like that. Or so
send him a girl drink over.
Working in the bar, I know drinks and stuff. The best thing you could have done is bought him what's called a Tushy Tickler.
Tushy Tickler. Well, if I see him again, that's what I'm gonna do.
Absolutely, man. A Tushy Tickler. It's a shot. It's actually pretty good, but it's pink and shit. It's funny.
Next time I see Dillon, I'm sending him one. So Dillon, if you see me, you don't got to run out the bar. I'm not going to go beat you up. Chance already got it.
Yeah, Chance is already gonna. Chance has already got you. That's so funny. Okay, the last one comes from Pirate Beach Bum. How did Dillon smell, and how long did it take to wash off? My guess he was very saturated and very stinky. Douche cologne and hairspray. The guy is so cringe.
Oh, dude. I don't really know how he smelled. I don't really know how he smell. I try not to smell people. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, you don't want to smell dudes.
I try not to smell dudes.
Well, when he lifted that neck up, I'm guessing he maybe thought you got a little sniff in that corner spot of the neck.
I think Dillon's gonna go without a clone. That's my take.
Oh man, I would imagine. I don't know. I feel like it would take. I don't know. I don't know what he'd smell like. He was kind of sweaty though, so he might smell like that.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Well, Chance, you're a hero. I knew we had to talk to you when I finally found your page, and I saw Gordon Ryan had already followed him. Yeah. So Gordon Ryan had already found him. So I knew you were good.
This interview, Ryan, that's the perfect person.
Yeah. Gordon Ryan ends up following you. Yeah, you have the support of the MMA community, and you know what, man? You should start your own self-defense courses or online something. I mean, your first lesson can be how to beat a professional fighter 101. You tapped Dillon Danis. He tapped
it's also a great sales pitch for Tom DeBlas. Oh, a guy took 2 classes and he's tapping out Dillon Danis.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. That's what I mean. He needs to get you a market in the gym or something, man. That's incredible. Chance, give them your Instagram one more time before we let you go.
It's Chance_3141. And if I could just plug one thing real quick.
Go ahead.
Hell yeah.
So these guys came out from Ohio to shoot an interview with me. Super cool guys. Their YouTube channel is Smart Arrow Media, and they did a video. It's really good. And then I have a GoFundMe page. People reached out to me and tried to give me money and stuff. And I thought it was kind of weird to take money from strangers for doing nothing.
Yeah.
So I set up a GoFundMe for a JROTC program that I attended to in high school. It helped me out a lot in my personal life, and I figured if people really wanted to give that much, there's something to do. There's something, a good cause to donate to.
Yeah, and we'll put the GoFundMe in the link of this episode for sure.
Yeah, you said you have $30 your name and you're still setting up this GoFundMe for other people. I think that's an honorable thing. I think it's an honorable thing to do, though. Like you said, it's weird to take money from people you don't know, and I think it's the correct thing to do, and that's awesome of you, Chance. So hey, great chatting.
Awesome.
Great talking with you, man. Yeah. We'll have to do this again sometime when you got Chance's school of whooping ass 101 outlogged in and a whole other career to deal with. Chance, thanks for coming by, bro. We appreciate having you, man. Yes. And what a great story. As if he Googled himself. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Chance. He is incredible. That was awesome, Jake. I mean, you gotta love that guy. I mean, there's no better guy than that guy.
Yeah, it's pretty hilarious. The guy's an overnight sensation for choking out Dillon. He's definitely got his 15 minutes of fame.
Oh, dude, it's unbelievably funny too. And I mean, when you look at the way that Dillon handled himself too, it's right on. Sometimes I've thought man, are people being a little hard on this guy? I know he's an attention seeker. He always calls people out, etc. But it's no, it seems like he actually is just that bad of a person all the time, which is very, very shocking.
Up to get clowned on. It's I don't know if he's actually a bad person, but he's a clown. Whether he's a bad person or not, that gets a little bit tricky. But the guy's certainly a clown. So it's like sometimes I feel bad clowning on him, but it's like you're literally setting yourself up to be clowned. So it's like, I guess that's what he wants. He wants to just be known as the guy that everyone punks and makes fun of, because he doesn't even have any good comebacks. He's not witty. He's not funny. He's just like, well, I'm Dillon Danis.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And that was funny that he brought up too, because I saw the photo earlier in the week. Him and Connor had tweeted out where he was on a limp. He had the cane, and then you got Danis with the knee brace. It's funny that he brought up that he had a hurt leg, and he was actually happy that he took him to the ground instead of pushing him out like they normally would have done, because he would have probably got hurt further. Hilarious story. Couldn't happen to a better guy in Dillon Danis too. It was just perfect that we were able to catch up to him. But Jake, I do want to catch up with you. UFC went down this past weekend. It was an interesting card to say the least. First up, though, we had Curtis Blades beat Rosenstruck in the heavyweight division. I'm not sure if you caught that fight, but you didn't really need to, Jake, because it was boring as hell.
Yeah, I think I missed most of that one. So I caught some of the earlier ones, and I was with some friends, so I wasn't really paying attention. But sounds like I didn't miss that much. So that's good to know. I did catch
exactly.
before the Merab versus is it Morales or whatever? That was great. When Merab, that reminded me when I fought Henderson, when Merab was out on his feet, but he just kept fighting. He just had so much heart and will, and just pushed through and was able to recover and come back and then TKO him. It's just that was pure heart. When a guy's that hurt but just refuses to stop moving, so that guy's he wasn't always the most technical, but he's just grit and goes.
Yeah, man. No, exactly. Love to see that. And that's funny that you brought up when you fought Henderson too. I always forget that happened. That was so long ago in Strikeforce. Yeah, that first round, he battered you bad, and you just hung in there. And then
that fight where he just almost had him knocked out 3 or 4 times, and Merab just kept fighting, and then came through. And it's like when a guy can do that, it's just they got pure heart. When a guy refuses to go down, because a lot of times guys will just kind of lay back and let the ref stop them there. But that was just pure will to win. Will to win can take you far when you're hungry.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. It can. All right. So we bring it in to the next topic here, which is obviously a lot closer to you. Nick Diaz versus Robbie Lawler. Obviously it doesn't go the way Nick planned, but at the same time, I mean, you saw his output, you saw what he had to give. Now, listen, I think, a 5-round fight for any single person is any athlete is difficult at any time. Coming back after 6 years, kind of not a ton of training camp time in that. Do you think they should have maybe done things a little differently as far as booking the fight for Nick, or what can you say on that? We'll leave this to you.
Yeah, I mean, you're 100%. I mean, it's a tough subject for me to talk on, because I'm so close to Nick, and it's like there's only so much I want to say without I'm not sure what he said publicly versus what he hasn't. But I think anyone watching leading up could see that he wasn't mentally ready and physically ready. He just didn't have the proper time. He had a lot going on in his life leading up to it. He wasn't going through a tough time, had to get himself organized. So all of a sudden they signed a fight, and it's like, maybe it was good that he was in a fight, but as soon as they signed it, I'm like, man, it should be at least 4 months off, because he had to find a place to live, find a place to train, get him, he's in the process of getting his head straight, getting, sober, all this stuff. And it's not easy. You can't just go from like completely out of shape, not fighting in like years and not being in the right mental space to hard training. It takes at least a month to get your place, get your camp, get your gym organized before you can even start training. So they just set him up in 9 weeks. And it's like, it took him at least a month to even start training. So that leaves him about, 4 weeks. And it takes the first, 4 weeks just to condition your body a little bit. So it was not near enough time. He needed at least 4 months. I mean, anyone in the fight game knows that. It kind of upset me. It was rushed through. I mean, maybe there was reasons. I think it was good to maybe get Nick back in there. He needed it, but it was just too soon. I think if he had 2 more months, he was just at a point where he could start conditioning, and it was just too rushed in there, and being close to Nick, it was upset seeing, because I know everyone around him, just from the interviews, you could see he didn't really want to be there, but he kind of went in there knowing he was unprepared. He knew it, but he's just like, you know what, I'm going to go in there and fight. And I'm extremely proud of him, considering that he wasn't prepared. He still went out there and put a hell of a fight. He didn't go out there laying down. He's like, I'm going to go out there and throw down, and I'm not just going to quit and see what happens. And he almost even, he had Lawler hurt a few times. Lawler going, what the hell? He shows, possibly even 3 or 4 more weeks, I think could have been enough to get him through. He just wasn't enough time to do.
Yeah, he didn't have that gas tank in the 3rd and 4th, for those extra rounds, right? If that would have been
his gas tank, it's like he had such a. Realistically, I think it was only a couple of weeks by the time he got organized, found a place to stay, some training, and it was just not enough time. And it's like
the boxing was still there. The boxing was still there. I mean, he was. accurate as hell. Like,
his accuracy was so good, timing. It was like, wow, he still has it. And I think, it showed him, it's possible to motivate him, to show him that he can go in there not prepared and still almost win. Afterwards, it's kind of like, oh, maybe I can still do this. So hopefully this will be, hopefully I'll look at this and be like, wow, I'm gonna hop back on there and fight again, or realize I don't want to do it and get other things in order. He's still a big star. He can make money all sorts of ways. So he needs to utilize it. Had some good talks with him. Hopefully he gets the correct direction and keeps his life together. I know everyone around him, everyone loves Nick Diaz, his friends, his fans. So everyone wants to see him do well, and everyone could see, I think, going in there that he wasn't. I mean, everyone looking up to it because something's not quite right with him. He's not quite where he needs to be. And I just think, he needed a little more time. So when he signed the fight, I was like, oh, Nick, you need more time. And I think, talked to him a little bit about coming out and doing the camp with me, but I think some people maybe didn't necessarily want him, because I probably would have pulled the fight and pushed it back. I think maybe people knew that and they wanted to make sure he fought and they could get paid. So, hold on real quick. Sorry, someone's my phone was blowing up, so I had to turn it off.
Yeah. Don't worry, man. Don't worry. No, exactly. I get it. It's one of those things where you're his friend. You're in there. You see it and you're like, oh, it's maybe not the best decision, but situations in life happen where you don't always get to dictate what you really need to do. And if that's something that he needed to do to get in there and fight, I mean, it showed, like you said, it showed him that if he came in not really prepared the way that he would like to be prepared and can still hang in there, maybe he still got one more in the tank. But like you just had mentioned, has it been decided one way or the other? Or do you think he's going to keep fighting, or what do you ultimately
think he's kind of unsure. I think he needs a little time to sit back and be like, oh, that was take it all in, figure out if he wants to fight. It was a lot thrown on him all at once. He went from like, kind of not being around people, isolating, to forced into a fight, and, Dillon with getting all those issues straightened out in life, to, oh, you're fighting back in the spotlight, to all of a sudden having the pressure of a fight, getting through the fight, losing, but ultimately doing good. So he needs to sit back and reevaluate everything and decide what he wants to do.
Yeah, exactly, man. That's all you can do. Like I said, it was exciting as hell. It was great to see Nick back in the octagon. I'd like to see him in there again. A guy like Tony Ferguson, a guy like Cowboy Cerrone even comes to mind as like two great veterans, which would be awesome.
These are big veterans that would sell well, that would also give him, give him a little time to actually properly train, and someone that's maybe not in a crazy win streak. They don't need to throw him against the elite fighters. Let him get back in there. And then he showed that I think he could beat top guys. I think he's capable of beating top guys if he's doing camp. So if he can go in there with no camp and still do that. And the thing is, Lawler looked good. It's not like Lawler looked bad.
No, Robbie, I was just going to say Robbie looked as good as I've seen him look in a couple years.
I agree. So it wasn't like he was fighting against an off Lawler. I think we were fighting against the strongest Lawler. And Lawler even said that he felt sharp. He was ready. And I like Lawler. I mean, I think I'm a fan of Lawler. I think he's a good person. So it's nothing against him. I think he fought well, but it's just the fact that Nick did so well against such an on Lawler. That's why it's like, wow, Nick still got it, because he went in there like not prepared and still put on an amazing fight against a very sharp looking Lawler.
Yeah,
and well conditioned. For a second, I was like, man, maybe he could gas Lawler. That would have been something.
Yeah, I was wondering about that too, especially when Nick came out with the output and he was just hammering them and bringing the volume. And although the punches maybe weren't powerful, they were accurate and they were coming in volume. And I said that too. And then you could just tell Robbie came in, like, because that's kind of been the issue a little bit. You haven't seen the ruthlessness. You haven't seen even, like, I thought Robbie just looked, like he said, I think he said at one point too, Nick, you brought out a better fighter in me. I think Nick was actually able to get Robbie to a level that I don't think Robbie thought he could get to either. So I'd like to see both guys. I know there was talk going into it. Do you think that'll be it for both of them? Like, I hope not either way.
I think we could see him. We'll definitely see Lawler fight again. I think we'll see Nick fight again too. But I think that really remotivated Lawler. Nick having humiliated Lawler 17 years ago. I'm sure that stuck with Lawler. That was right when Lawler was extremely hyped. So Nick came in and derailed the hype train, humiliated him, knocked him out when he's supposed to be a pure grappler. So that's there's no way that's type person Lawler is. There's no way he took that and was like, oh, no big deal. I'm sure that little anger and resentment sat there with him for 17 years. So he was probably
absolutely
quite happy. And Lawler I think was a fan of Nick too. It's not like he was disrespectful. So I was extremely respectful. I think even after the thing, he said something to Nick like along the lines of, "Hey Nick," I forget exactly what he told him, but like, "Hey Nick, I hope you're okay, and get yourself together." And so it's kind of like they have respect for each other. So.
Oh yeah. I saw that as well. It's really good to see.
Lawler knew he wasn't fighting the best Nick too. Even though he was prepared, it's like Lawler could tell something was a little off as well. And he wasn't trying to say like, "Hey, I beat Nick at his best." He acknowledged that, hey, something was slightly off. So.
Yeah. And you know what? If Nick gets into that space and gets a good camp in, it would set up for a beautiful trilogy,
You could
wouldn't
do a
it? I
Lawler,
mean,
yeah. I would love to see Nick do another
I,
fight first to show he wants to do it. But man, that would be what a great trilogy that would be after those two fights.
yeah. I'm down with that as well. Speaking of still got it though, Valentina Shevchenko still got it. She defeats Lauren Murphy. While Murphy only landed 19 significant strikes in the fight, I said this earlier in the week. She didn't do too bad considering what Valentina Shevchenko usually does to her opponents. I mean, she didn't die, right? It took till the 5th round for her to get beat, but Shevchenko, she remains the queen of
Yeah, she's just better than all the girls in the division. So it's hard building excitement because she's just too much better and she picks them apart. And there's like the fights like aren't entertaining because it's her slowly dismantling them, picking them apart. So it's so hard to build fights for her when you have no one to hurt. You know, she picks them off before they have a chance to build up a real contender. She's picking them off. So it's makes it tough. So who's she going to fight next? It's every fight is they have to throw someone that's not ready for her.
The girl, then you're not going to get anybody. Like, you know, for like you said, Now, do you think Shevchenko and Amanda Nunes 3 makes sense? Do you think they need to kind of get Shevchenko out of the division? And even though she lost, you know, twice to Nunes before, the second fight was definitely a lot more competitive than the first one. If you're the UFC, do you try to make that trilogy fight happen with Amanda and Valentina?
Yeah,
Valentina believes she won the second fight. Like she thinks she got screwed.
Yeah, before I said no, but at this point, she's just completely in different levels. So they might have to. I mean, I don't feel like maybe not next because I feel like there's some other fights to make with Amanda Nunes first because she hasn't fought in a while, right? But that might be another fight down the road because there's no one for her to fight.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's one of those things. You love Valentina Shevchenko. I think she's great. She's such a great competitor, but certainly they need to do a little more with that division and maybe some reshuffling, maybe some more recruitment. But you know, it's hard with women's MMA. It's not necessarily the most developed sport yet. There's like all these girls going forward and the Misha Tates from before and all the fighters like that are truly the pioneers of like almost women's MMA. And what was her name? She got fired from Disney. Gina Carano as well. You're right. Like yep. They're not, you look at them.
She was the first star in women's MMA, Gina Carano. She was the first girl to become a mainstream star. Yeah. And then Misha after her. So there's still just not quite the depth, you know, when you look at like 25s, 35s, they have really good girls, but they still don't have the depth of the men's division. So it's hard to have a dominant champ like Amanda Nunes and stuff. It's just, they can't quite find the opponents because these girls are just a level above their competition. And the men's, you'll get that sometimes, but there's so many competitors. There's always gonna be someone that you're like, oh, this could be a good fight.
Yeah. Like there's only the, two guys I think of is Izzy back at his weight of 185. He's like head and shoulders. And then we'll see what happens if Usman beats Colby Covington again, then again, that's another division that's similar.
There'll still be good guys constantly coming up to
at least challenge, right? Yeah.
The other divisions, it's hard to think who could even challenge them.
No, exactly. So the 145-pound title was on the line. Volkanovsky versus Ortega. That was absolute war. Wow, that was a great fight. You know, a lot was said going into that fight. They were the Ultimate Fighter coaches. Really started to kind of get that bad blood out of them. Volkanovsky, he's a pretty intense dude, man. You're talking about a guy who fights at 145 pounds, but used to play rugby like 5 or 6 years ago at 210. Like he's a monster, Volkanovsky. And then you got Ortega too. And just like you always see with the Hispanic fighters, that heart, man, like he's never going to stop coming forward. His face, he looked like not even recognizable after that fight, but really unbelievable fight. But what did you make of Volkanovsky getting out of like the 3 really dangerous submission attempts? Like that guillotine, I can't believe that wasn't over.
Yeah, it looked like he was done. Then he got out of that. They went right into a deep triangle. It was like, oh man, this is bad. And I know he's been training with Craig Jones a little bit. I'm sure that helped. Craig's got such good submissions. He's tough. It just showed again, his pure heart to get out of those deep submissions. And then he almost TKO'd him in that same round. He escaped those submissions, and it ended with him just teeing off on him, you know. And then he laid there for a little bit long afterwards. It was looking like they might could stop it from being dazed after that round.
Yeah, what I was gonna ask you, it was funny. He was laying on the ground, and then like his corner guy kind of picks up his body and puts him on the
Great
stool.
corner work. He would wait there much longer there to have to wave it off. I felt like it was looking like, oh, they're about to wave this off. I thought they were, and picked him up. And to me, it looked like, oh, this fight's about done. If he doesn't get up right now, it's over. The corner picked him up, threw him on the through. That was great corner work.
Yeah, I saw the MMA Twitter was giving her Dean a lot of like funny slack, like how many fingers am I holding up? Ortega, purple. Okay, he's good to go. Like just let him go. Yeah, he's good. But
they could have stopped it, but I'm kind of a fan of being a fighter. I'm a fan of letting people fight. I mean, I like to push, and it's a tough sport. It sucks when you get hurt, but we sign up for it. We're willing to go out there and fight. We can always quit if we want. So it's up to us to decide when to stop, not the ref. I mean, there is a time where we'll keep pushing too far and the ref should stop it. But generally, I lean towards the fan of the refs letting it go a little bit longer. So.
Yeah, exactly. Give the fighter the opportunity to get out of it. Give them the opportunity to, exactly. Like you said, it's better to have them let it go a couple seconds longer than stop it too early. There's nothing I'm sure more infuriating than
ref, a good example, ref could have, like I said earlier, the Dan Henderson fight, a bad ref would have stopped it. We had John McCarthy, Marab's fight, a bad ref could have jumped in and stopped that. And he comes back, gets this massive win. So an early stoppage can completely affect your whole career to getting derailed and he gets knocked out versus coming back and winning this massive fight. Can change your whole life. So I think it's important for the refs to let these fights really go.
Speaking of letting the fights go, we're going to move it on over to one championship. We had him on the podcast. Christian Lee puts on a war performance against Ok Rayun, the guy from South Korea who came in during the one on TNT series, beat Gafarov number 5, and then the next week later had to beat Eddie Alvarez. They throw him in. Ok Rayun is the new one lightweight champion of the world. Terrible decision. Christian, I mean, with the way that one championship scores, the fights, I know it's not every round. They do it as overall. It actually makes it worse of it.
Old pride rules where they just score this one fight. Interesting. I didn't know that. Yep,
just one bout. Exactly. Just like that. And Ok Rayun is he was a great fighter. He pushed Christian Lee to I've never seen anyone push Christian like that. It was an absolute war. Both guys had each other rocked, but Christian he controlled most of the fight. I under either set of rules, Christian Lee should have won that fight, but I saw that one championship. They also have the ability to go back and review things, and they do actually change up. Eddie Alvarez got DQ'd against Lupikis, and it was a bad DQ. They said they hit him in the back of the head. They DQ'd him. They look it up. Sure enough, they bring it to the review board. They call it a no contest. One championship is not going to reverse the decision. Ok Rayun is the champion, and there will be an immediate rematch against Ok Rayun and Christian Lee for the title. Did you catch any of the fight?
Unfortunately, I didn't. I was so busy leading up to this Nick thing and all that. But I'm gonna go back and watch.
I didn't think you did. Yeah.
But it sounds like it was a good fight. And from you say I actually heard Christian lost, but I didn't watch the fight, so I didn't know it was controversial. So I'm gonna have to go back and watch that.
Yeah, go back and watch it too, because it's very similar to Ortega and Volkanovsky in excitement as well. I'm talking both guys could have been finished. I've never seen Christian Lee pushed to the limit like that. You know what? I even said going into the fight, Jack and I were talking, and he thought Oak only had he thought Christian was going to beat him within 3 minutes. Like, no, this guy's a different kind of animal. They find these guys over in the weird. So, I think he's from South Korea. Sorry, not North Korea. Yeah. He's from South Korea.
Why not fighting there?
Yeah. I don't think anyone's fighting from North Korea or getting out of there in general. But man, it was an interesting decision. You got to watch it back though, because like I said, they rocked each other a bunch of times. It was very, very similar to the excitement of the Ortega and Volkanovsky fight. And I look forward to that rematch. Speaking of rematches, we have one that is off. Aljamain Sterling versus Peter Yan for the Bantamweight title has been removed. Sterling did not get medical clearance for that neck injury he suffered at the hands of Peter Yan, who was just beating his ass in that fight, and then kneed him while he was down in the 4th round. I know Peter Yan likes to give Aljamain Sterling trouble and calls him the paper champ, and hey, maybe those are justifiable things to say, but at the end of the day, dude, he'd need him right when he was down. It was just he had the time to think about it, and he did it anyway. So
yeah,
we have Corey Sandhagen stepping in there.
Yeah, no, I think it makes sense to have Yan step back and fight for the title, considering the way he lost. He was dominating the fight. It's such a weird way to win. I mean, Sterling probably wants to hold on to that belt. I mean, I know Sterling, he's a nice guy, but definitely a weird way to win the belt, something I wouldn't be proud of. And for him, if I was him, I would want that rematch as soon as possible to try and show that he is the champ, not the paper champ, as Yan says. So I think at this point, a lot of people are kind of viewing Yan as the real champ. So it makes sense to make the interim belt. And then when Sterling wants to, or if he wants to, he can step up and challenge for it.
Yeah, exactly. Now, TJ Dillashaw, I was able to talk to a kid I know on his PR team. He had knee surgery after his fight, his return fight. So that's why he's not jumping right in. They give it to Corey Sandhagen off the loss, right? Because TJ Dillashaw beat Sandhagen.
Right, he just beat him, yeah.
But Sandhagen's getting the fight because TJ's out. And then, Dillashaw will probably take the winner of the interim belt. If Sterling probably needs a few more months. It's only been about 8 months since that happened.
Yeah, neck surgery is a pretty serious, like I said, the way he won the fight was still a little weird, but that is a serious issue that you don't want to run in from a neck surgery and get yourself hurt again and have your whole career.
I saw Ali, the manager, Ali Abaziz, say like he had a neck surgery as well. And he's like, don't rush that back. Like you guys, like people were starting to troll him, right? Because of the way that he won the title and everything, right? And they were saying he pulled out. And I was like, if he pulled out, like if it wasn't a doctor's decision, they would have had to strip him of the title. Like I get that. I do totally. But you got to wait for all the facts to come out. He didn't pull out. He wasn't cleared. That's just the way the cookie crumbles. Sandhagen versus Peter Yan is going to be a good fight. I expect to see Peter Yan beat Corey Sandhagen and then be right back in the position, probably fighting Aljamain when he's all better. Now I want to bring us into a fight that's going down this weekend. Jake, last topic here. Michael Venom Page looking for revenge against Douglas Lima this weekend at Bellator 267. We all saw how, MVP was knocked out in that first fight. It looked, I don't want to call it, nothing's a fluke in the MMA. Yeah. Nothing's a fluke, but I think it was an unfortunate circumstance for MVP. It was kind of like a slip. He got caught. It happens. How do you see this fight going?
Yeah, I mean, Page's footwork's so good. He's in and out. I mean, he's looked so hard to hit, but he got knocked out before. So it's man, this is tough. This is like a pick 'em. I don't really know who to go with this one. It's a good rematch. So I'll definitely be. Is that Friday or Saturday? So I want to watch that one.
I believe it's Friday. It's actually tomorrow. Well, yeah, we're recording Thursday, so it's actually tonight. I guess this will drop tomorrow.
Week flew.
Yeah. Good awareness by me. I should be being like, tonight's Bellator card. It drops tomorrow. I'm not professional. It's a podcast. Right, That's so funny, man. No, I think the MVP ends up getting it back. He made some interesting comments. MVP, I don't know how many fights he has left on his contract. I think 1 or 2. And he's been really talking about heading to the UFC. Now I know you have a good relationship with Patchy, who's right in the mix for a title there. No pun intended. But he kind of came out this week and said, if he were to decide today he's going to the UFC, and that Bellator, while they have a good roster and good backing, they just don't do enough. What do you think he means by that? Are you talking about the matchmaking? Because I kind of find their matchmaking at times brutal, but it's good if you like betting. Like I've hit 9 fight parlays on Bellator before, though. Like that's how mismatched their matchups are. I'm talking. I've won 9 fight parlays before.
So definitely mismatched fights. I think at Patchy's weight, they actually are good though. So he has a bunch of good fights there. So
oh hell yeah, he has a ton.
And Archuleta, so they have a pretty stacked weight. I mean, the fight he has coming up, I think they're talking about doing the $1 million tournament his weight. I know they're. I think he's the last fight in his contract, actually. So it does give him some negotiating power. I know I think they want to pay him pretty good, but I mean, the UFC's stacked at 35 as well. So whatever he decides, he'll do well in either weight. The only thing is the UFC gets so much more exposure, and Patchy is a talented enough guy where I think he could go and win the UFC fight, title too.
Yeah, I agree. After what we saw, high rollers and the way his jiu-jitsu's come along since before you kind of came into the picture with him is very clear. I know you said all the fundamentals were there, but what's really changed with him?
He's just got, the training partners and stuff now. He's surrounded by constant good people. He's has so many good training partners and coaches and stuff around him that he's able to evolve. Because before he's so talented, but he was doing this without a big network. I mean, obviously I'm sure he has some good coaches around him, but not that many good training partners or that deep of coaching. He was out there in New York by himself in a small team. I mean, getting a guy that can get this good by themselves, and then you put him in a great team and they can just escalate and get better and better from there.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. I know he's from Buffalo, right? Patchy,
Yeah,
which is just
exactly.
on the other side of me. Not a whole hell of a lot of MMA
No, I
that
think it's
way
a small
either.
area. Never
One
been there.
gym, like Western New York, has like a couple gyms in the area, and then like there's nothing through to like Rochester. It's small.
Mm-hmm.
It's small. All right, man. Last thing I want to bring up here, actually, I forgot. Bloody elbow back at it again. Writer Trent Reinsmith wants the UFC to let Joe Rogan go. First off, Trent Reinsmith is like just an absolute dildo of a human being.
Clown.
I don't know why he writes MMA.
No,
None of the fighters like him. Nobody likes him. Just
or the
more
fans.
tone deaf garbage. But I saw you chime in on that. How did you feel about that?
I just think everyone loves Joe. Not everyone, but majority of people, except for the journalists. I think they just don't like him at Bloody Elbow because he has the wrong opinions, probably because he took ivermectin for COVID. These guys, all they do is just talk politics and bash fighters that think any different. They're complete clowns. And the funny part is, I don't know why they write. You look at their Twitter and you look at the ratio, and like they'll have like 7 likes and like somebody making fun of them in the comment with like hundreds of likes. Everyone's all they do is clown on them. So they should clearly write for a different sport or go write for some kind of like tabloid, because all they want to do is bash fighters. Bloody Elbow is the same article. They tried writing an article saying like Renzo Gracie's racist. Everyone that knows Renzo Gracie knows he's not racist. He's part black. Everyone loves him from everywhere. You got these clowns trying to say he's racist, trying to say fire Joe Rogan because he has the wrong opinions on COVID. The guy is just a complete clown. And I mean, I don't know why they exist.
Me either, man. And it's funny, like you bring up Joe Rogan. It's not even just MMA journalists. I think media members in general hate Joe Rogan so much because he's actually allowed to say what he thinks about things and can still earn money while they're not allowed to say shit without some guy breathing down their neck. Yep. Like that's where the real hatred and I think jealousy and angst towards Joe Rogan comes from. He's one of the few people on this planet that can come right out in public, say whatever the fuck he wants, and doesn't have to worry about anything. He's still got that $100 million contract. There's not many guys left like that in the game. So
he can always say whatever he wants, and they hate that. And they act like he's right wing, but he's not right wing. He's like left wing on a lot of issues. He says whatever he wants. They hate the fact someone that's not controlled and can say whatever they want. So that drives them crazy. So.
Yeah, libertarians used to be known as liberals until this new age, like anti everything liberalism came. And now even if you're a libertarian, you're a right wing Trump guy or whatever.
Right? They go after you, whether it's I see pretty soon they're probably gonna start going after people for not wanting trans to fight in women's sports. That's probably I didn't see one single MMA journalist go with that recently that someone that was a man stepped in and fought and beat up a girl. I saw no MMA journalist speaking against it.
Horrible.
Yeah,
fucking horrible.
You're not seeing a man beat up a girl, and MMA journalists are just quiet on the issue. It's like that shows you the state these people are in.
Yeah, no, exactly, man. Exactly. It's really sad, honestly. It's like how can we be so far gone that it's okay to have a former U.S. Marine? What kind of savage do you have to be a U.S. Marine? Goes trans 6 months into training, beats a girl that's been training for 12 years. That's bullshit. Anyone who supports that is anti-woman. That's what I think. That's my opinion.
It's true. I mean, I have a daughter who played sports. These guys, I don't want to have her play against men. It's not fair to women to say someone that was born a man. Like, I'll respect them. I'll call them a girl, but ultimately you're still a man. You can't just go in there and compete against women. They compete.
Just because I'm going to call you a girl doesn't mean you can beat up a chick that has that doesn't have testosterone in her body. Whether you feel a way or not, like the genetic compounds are still genetic compounds, and like you're still made up of everything a man is made up of, and that gives you a physical advantage, and you should not be beating up women. And we're getting into the dangerous zone now where it needs to be on these commissions to not give a shit because someone will die. One of these girls is gonna die, and then then everyone guys like you, the only couple people speaking out about it, were right. But it's like I don't want to be right on the account of someone's life. Like, just have some balls, MMA media. If you're a man or a woman, have some whatever the fuck you say to girls. Have some tits and stand up and say, like, fucking, this is wrong before someone gets hurt. They have to do it before.
There is no balls in the media. That just shows you that not one single journalist. I tweeted out, I was like, any of you guys gonna say anything? And just silence, like nothing. Like
silence, because guess what? They have a boss at the top, an editor in chief who, donated $100,000 to the Democrat Party or whoever, whatever the fuck they're.
Yeah, the thing is, most Democrats don't support this. The crazy part, like I know a lot of Democrats think it's madness, but they just
no.
Like maybe like 5% of people support this, but yet for some reason, all the people with power won't speak against it. And they allow it through in the Olympics. They allow it through in fighting. They allow it through. We all look at this like a man should not be fighting a woman, but like everyone with power just goes, I want to be quiet, not say anything.
No. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. Just like with Joe Rogan too. Guy, these people just have nothing but negativity to spread, man. But it's all good. It's funny seeing, I think the majority of people are starting to wake up to it. And I really hope that some promotion out there really sets that red line in the sand and welcomes other promotions. Like there's no reason why Dana White shouldn't come right out and say transgender women aren't allowed to fight in the UFC. It should be an official rule.
I feel like Dana probably would. He's been one of the few guys that has stayed pretty, like honest with his opinions and like, hey, people can have different opinions in the UFC. He hasn't tried like pushing, he didn't try pushing Black Lives Matter on the fighters.
Nothing.
Vaccine mandates on him. He's been great about not pushing all this stuff that like a lot of other woke people have. I know people at ESPN are getting forced to get vaccinated now, are going to be fired and stuff like that. So,
yeah, I've heard that ESPN's forcing journalists into vaccine as well. You've heard that as well?
Yeah, that's from what I understand, that's happening in the fight. All the fighters that work there, so there may be people getting fired soon, or getting vaccinated. They don't want to. So.
Yeah, man, it's this crazy world we live in. I didn't think we'd ever be here growing up as a kid where I gave a shit. I mean, I can't even think of the last time I was around people and wondered if they had a jab or what their status was. I could care less. I'm not. Yeah, I could care less, man. I'm like you.
I could care less what you do. Get it or don't.
That's it, guys. But one thing I want you to do, hit that subscribe button. Jake, we'll be back next week. Chance the Bouncer, A Star is Born. We all love that guy. Make sure you guys follow him. He said he blasted out his Instagram a bunch, and it was awesome seeing him serve it to Dillon Danis. And finding out Dillon actually tapped made it even better.
Google me.